Their age, we compose groups with young women and with older women from 18 to 35 years old and from 35 to 65 years old. And also we did the groups in different cities in where both CEPAIN and Cruz Roja and the Red Cross has labor centers. Here you have the guideline the facilitators use to guide the discussion during the focus groups. It is in Spanish because I had no time to translate into English. But the questions were in relation with our, of course, with our research objectives. We asked the participant about their idea of the equality between men and women. We asked them about the idea of the concept of gender violence. And we asked also then about the causes of gender violence, and we request then for solutions to fight against gender violence. So we have four main topics to discuss with the immigrant women. Before to present you the results, I want to say that we contact the participants, telling them that we are that our idea was to discuss about gender equality. In any moment, we say then that our idea was to discuss about gender violence, and this is important because some of the results were very surprised in this sense. Specifically, we detect that in all the groups, at least one woman reported that he was a victim of gender violence. In all the immigrant groups. In the Spanish groups, any participant report this, but we suspect that at least two of them were victims. So for the immigrant women, it was easier than for the Spanish women to speak freely about this topic during the focus groups. Another important observation was that in the groups in which the participants were immigrants, nobody had heard before the term gender violence. And this is amazing from a practical point of view. If you develop programs under the title of gender violence prevention, gender violence attention, and if the users of those programs don't know the meaning of the term, it is a little bit tricky to explain how these programs can work. And the Spanish understood the term gender violence as a violence spread in our society, not as a violence that has relation with the gender of the protagonist. And all the participants reported that they need spaces to meet and talk about their experience in a general way, but also this experience with violence. Well, what were, can you read this? I'm sorry because the font. Well, the main results in relation with the topic of equality between men and women. It was very hard to focus the discussion in the topic because the participants used to talk about administrative situations and labor situations. This is very this is logical because for the immigrant women, the most important issues are plus their family, their work, and their administrative situation. But they realize and they explain us that women used to have worse jobs than men and less paid than the men used to have. And they report the perception of a tremendous inequality between women and men. Double working day, partners that no take responsibility for domestic tasks. Ask this in your own cases. Is your experience that in the case of Spanish women, they are less paid than the men? Is your experience that you do more work than men do in your home, for example? Think in your brothers, think in your relatives. So the immigrant women report these things to us. And they perceive also sustained, that all of this is sustained by sexist attitudes. But some of them reported to us that the migratory experience was very helpful in order to change their partner attitudes. Some of them said to us that their partners didn't help them at home when they were in their country, but now in Spain they started to help them at home. And this was reported mostly by the women from the north of Africa. And they explain us, they linked this with the family needs. They need both partners working outside the home, but especially because the men didn't feel the pressure, the social pressure, when they live in Spain, as it happened in Morocco or in Algeria or in their countries. So they report that employment and earning a living was a way of increasing gender equality for immigrant women. But this women has a very good position to analyze the Spanish reality, because most of these women works in the domestic service. And it was a big difference between the Latina and the North African women. The Latina reported us that they didn't perceive a big difference between the Spanish society and the Latin American societies in terms of equality.